The Top Floor Please podcast, where women in leadership rise together. I'm your host, Melissa McCormick, executive coach and founder of the Grace and Salt Leadership Academy. This is your space to find clarity, grow in confidence, and lead with bold authenticity. Whether you're navigating the boardroom, building your team, or stepping into new territory, you're not alone. Let's talk real challenges, real growth, and real leadership because the top floor isn't just a place, it's a mindset. All righty then, let's get started. Um, all right. Welcome everyone to the Top Floor Please podcast. I'm Melissa McCormick. I'm your host, and we have a very special guest with us today. You may or may not know, but I'm starting to ask people to join me on my podcast. So we'll be doing a little bit of both as far as me teaching and doing leadership lessons. And then I'm going to be interviewing women, men, anybody who wants to be interviewed and get to know their story a little bit. So as our inaugural
good word.
Thank you. Episode, I thought it was really cool if I interviewed my mom. And here's what you may or may not know from the behind the scenes. I don't know if you can see this fly that is flying around, but it's driving me crazy. So if you see me do this, it's because there's a fly.
And has nothing to do with me.
That's right. Exactly. So, all right, Mom. Well, thank you. And welcome to our Top Floor Please podcast.
I am so happy to be here and to be the first. It's always great for women to be the first.
All right. Well, let's, I guess let's just start with your story. Just share a little bit, go back to as far back as you want to go and just share kind of what thoughts you had, what dreams you had, what did you think back in whatever day?
Well, for my beginning, I was born in northwestern Wisconsin on a place called The Hill. It's still called that. It's kind of a remote area. Everybody around me was related. And I lived what I thought was a pretty good life till I was about 7 or 8. And when I was 10, my folks were divorced. And I moved up on the hill or close to the hill permanently. But back then, 30 miles was a long way from Chippewa. And so I literally relocated to an area with a lot of cousins, but no mother. My sister and I were the first two, and my youngest brother, Conrad. But otherwise, it was an isolating, traumatic time, as you can imagine, for a teenager. I was the oldest of 6, and I was 10. And we didn't see our mother for probably 3 years. So my grandmother and dad raised us. And Gran was always telling Dad, I think Mar misses her mother. And I don't think I was the nicest child at that point. So as far as aspirations, I didn't have a lot of them. I wanted to be happy. And I was, to a point, because I had 47 first cousins, so I had all kinds of company.
Are you exaggerating, or did you really have 47?
I really do.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I really do.
I just challenge anybody, our listeners here, how many first cousins do you have? And put it in the show notes. I'd love to know, because 47, that's a town in some cases.
Oh, it is. I talked to a lady today from Seward, and she said there's only 100 there.
There you go. So
we're half a town.
The Metcalf town.
Right. But also that meant I had all kinds of friends. I never thought about getting friends. So I rode the school bus to school every day, 10 miles away, but it took us 25 miles to get there because it was a bus. So I never had to worry about friends in town because in the evenings and weekends, we were all related. I never had to worry about, I don't have any friends, because I had all kinds of them.
Yeah. So then you had talked about your dreams, or you just really wanted, at that point, just really wanted to be happy.
Yep. And to be together and to see our mother again, although at this point I had decided I hated her. And that would be typical for all of you parents that have 10 and 12-year-olds. They all hate you at some time.
Yeah.
So it was only when I had kids of my own that I recognized the challenges and issues that my mother had gone through. So I have regrets. And that I think is common with divorces,
Sure.
separations, deaths.
Yeah.
You are left with the embers, and they always are regrets. I should have done, I should have behaved, I should have. But you get through that. And so along the way, my father, who was a very happy-go-lucky guy, I don't know that he never had those deep lessons for us.
Yeah.
So for me, his answer was music. He was a musician, had a band, and he had lots of friends that were musicians. So they found a piano, and Oscar tuned it and brought it down, and Dad set me down at it and taught me to play the piano. And I would do that for hours. My grandmother, I don't know how she stood the racket, but I played.
Would you say that or I guess I should ask you this. I was going to lead a question and I shouldn't. I was just curious as to when you think back on your whole childhood and adulthood, what woman kind of stood out as that woman that guided you without you really knowing that they were?
I think my Aunt Loretta.
Oh, Aunt Loretta. Okay. All right.
She came down every day to make sure Graham didn't need anything. I didn't know there was an undercurrent behind this, and which we won't get into today.
Okay.
But her and Graham were not the best of friends. It was daughter-in-law, mother-in-law. But Aunt Loretta's second daughter was Marge, and her and I were born in the same house, 6 weeks apart. And so there was a connection, almost a mother connection from the beginning with Aunt Loretta. The only thing she did was kind of a mother thing. She'd make decisions for me that I had no intention of making. She would change decisions I made.
Oh.
Yeah, because no, your dad wouldn't like that.
Oh, okay.
So there was a little love-hate going on. But for discussions, personal discussions, watching her with her family was like having an inside look into mother-daughter family.
Yeah.
That's another regret I have, is that I didn't treat Graham any better than I did.
Well,
I cared for her, but I don't know that I told her that.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Which is a good lesson for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
How old were you when you left the house, when you left Grandpa's home?
19.
Oh, okay.
I had gone to school in Eau Claire.
Like a teacher's college, right?
No.
Oh.
No. It was for, I want to say instruments, and that's not it.
But it was like
machines. Office machines.
Okay. Typewriters, calculators.
Yes, yeah.
Adding machines.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Which did stand me in good stead later on when I was working at the bank.
Yeah.
I could use the computer and the calculator, both hands, either hand, wherever it was at.
Wow.
It was there. So, yeah. So all of those experiences that you have do come in to play as far as your experience goes. And you just never know where that silly little thing you did, babysitting, whatever,
you
use it later. But then I came to Rockford. Cousins lived down here. And so Marge and I stayed with Tiny and Chuck. Sunstrand then was one of the big manufacturers, Sunstrand Aviation. Walked in the door on Harrison Avenue, took a test.
What was the test like? You took a test for what position?
Just general office questions kind of thing, education. Make sure you could read and write, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose.
And
because this would have been, what year would this have been?
55.
So 1955. Okay.
Yep. And they had a doctor and nurse right there. So you went in for a physical. First time I ever had to give blood. Didn't look. And started work the next day.
Oh, nice. And how long did you work at Sunstrand?
I only worked there maybe a year, and then met your dad before he was your dad. And I thought I should clarify that. And so then we were married in July.
Yes. July
27th, 1957. And at that point, then, back then, when you started having kids, you were home. And it was a one income household. But the roles for men and women were so different. They were so much better defined. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily all for the good, but easily understood.
Yeah.
So nobody had to question who changed the baby, who did the dishes, who went to work. You know, that was, you made sure dad was comfortable so he could get to work the next day. Yeah. He was the income. And you listened to a lot of and watched a lot of self-help things. I can't remember the doctor's name, but he wrote a lot of books.
Dr. Spock?
No, that was for the kids.
Oh, okay.
This was for women.
Oh, okay.
How you should behave when your husband came home from work after a long day of working with people. You want to present your best front.
What?
Yes.
There was a doctor?
Yes.
Who wrote books on how proper etiquette for a wife.
Yes.
A wife and mother.
To have a happy home.
Oh.
And we all want a happy home.
We do want a happy home.
Yep.
Wow.
Right. So my way of interpreting that, of course, because I've always kind of done things my way, was the kids tore the house up. At that point, I had maybe 3.5 because I was pregnant with Marlys. But with the 3, they were dynamos, all the same age.
Well, they weren't.
They were not triplets, but they were. I had the third one when the first one was 28 months. So it was like a gang, and you had to keep them busy, or they'd get busy. So we pretty well just let the house go to shambles. And then when Russ got home, 4:35, about 4:00, we'd start straightening things up and making it look like we were the perfect family.
The perfect family.
Yes.
Interesting.
Because that's what this doctor said. You want to freshen up, put your makeup on, change clothes, and greet him at the door.
How did you, because I get that. I do understand that, especially from when I was working in my corporate job and coming home when Mike was a stay-at-home dad, right? So he stayed home when the kids were in middle school, I think. And then he ended up working from home when working from home wasn't a thing. And I would come home, and it really, if the house was a mess, for me personally, it drove me crazy because I'd want to clean it right away.
Sure.
For a man coming home in the 1950s or 60s, probably didn't want to clean it, but
he would
chaos.
Bitch.
Okay, we don't use that language on this podcast, mother. But well, I'm just thinking about coming in, and then, you're you're leaving chaos at work and now you're coming into chaos
Yes,
at the home.
exactly.
So I do understand that. We talk a lot about, so I do understand that. We talk a lot about with my coaching clients and just in general with my friends on work-life balance. And you had mentioned that back in the 1950s and 60s, the roles were very well defined. So work-life balance, you didn't need to worry about it as a mother and a wife, but you kind of did, because you were balancing your husband as they got home.
Yes.
You were balancing that whole dynamic.
I do have to clarify. Russ never complained about anything.
Oh, no, I'm sure he didn't. No, well, I'm not sure Dad didn't, but okay. That's good to hear. That's very good to hear. But I'm just thinking that now, because we have 90%, right? Yeah. Roles have merged. We're both working outside the home. And quite honestly, we want our partner to take some responsibility when it comes to whether that's discipline or cleaning up or,
and every family or whatever that does it is different.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I just find that very interesting. So I do understand the concept behind it. I also understand, did it help you when, you're cleaned everything up and Dad comes home, you're getting dinner ready and whatnot.
Right.
And maybe you are changing your clothes, or maybe you're just freshening up just a little bit. Did that help your own mental, like your mindset? Like, okay, the day is done.
I don't remember that it actually, me personally, that whether it affected me or not. I just knew that was kind of the rule that was going to help my lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
be calmer.
Yeah. No, I get it.
And I think it did set the basis for that third of my life, which was when we were together after work with the kids. We could do things.
Right.
We were ready.
Yeah. Interesting. I get it. I can't believe I get it, but I do understand how that
much easier it would be if everybody understood what their part was.
Yeah, I mean, that you and I go round and round on that piece, but I'm just putting myself back in 1950, or I'm in 2026, but I'm a stay-at-home mom. This might be some good advice for them too, right? Because yes, if you're, or a stay-at-home dad, whatever the roles are, because it's either way today. I think that's really interesting. So you end up going back into the workforce.
I did, because I was, Jeff was 5, and I was pregnant with you. I started to think, I knew that I wasn't having any more children, but I also, over the years so before that, had been thinking, I'm losing all of the skills that I acquired while I was working.
Oh,
because from the time,
that's a big deal.
It was, because eventually you're going to go back to work. But what am I going to do? Clean houses? I'm not very good at that. And I had developed some skills that I thought were pretty good. And so I started talking to Russ about it. And over my entire life, I have found that old cliche, when one door closes, another one opens. I think the only job that I ever applied for was the first one I got. The rest of them, every time one ended, there'd be somebody say, they're looking for somebody. And through friends, through Russ.
Yeah, networking is as powerful today as it was back in the day.
I think that was the big message that I really could pass on, is when people suggest to you that there's an opening somewhere, you're not really happy with what you're doing, but you're not sure you want to do that, then you need to decide, how unhappy am I? Because that place that doesn't sound like, I have an example. Jumping fast forward, I was working at Ingersoll, and I could see that my boss's idea of saving money for the company was not to give people raises and more experience and moving up that ladder to help the company's bottom line. His answer was to eliminate positions and replace it, combine people positions. And so I could see that happening. There was a Bell and Howell guy coming. I was doing filming and darkroom things. And I could see the handwriting really was, they could take over this as a subcontract. So, and he'd already let several people in other departments go. So I knew that was going to happen. And there was a posting on the board for a buyer. I had no experience as a buyer. I was fairly low level, darkroom, microfiche kind of thing. But when I looked at the qualifications, I saw, and everybody should note this, I was not a buyer. I didn't have any of the credentials, except I had bookkeeping, I had the record keeping and communications experience that they pointed out. I also knew they needed that person in a hurry. So I thought, I think I could do that because, first of all, they're desperate. They won't be looking for the most highest qualified. They're just going to be looking for qualified. Can someone step in and learn on the go? And I also knew that my boss would give me a glowing exit interview, which he did. And a month after I was gone, he subcontracted to Bell and Howell. So I knew I had read that right. So always read what's going on around you in business, even if you're not at the high end, to see what is going on that you might take advantage of. And for me, that was one for me.
Well, there's plenty of examples throughout, at least my experience with you, where you've done those types of things and taught us to do that as well. Is that something that you would tell your 25-year-old self? Is that one of the lessons?
I would have started doing that earlier.
Yeah.
Than I really did. Because there were opportunities when I look back before I ever left home.
Yeah.
That I might have taken advantage of. But I have enjoyed every single step and change that I've taken in the life.
But there was a risk, right? And I appreciate the fact too that at that point you were the sole breadwinner in the house because Dad was disabled at that point.
Yes, but he was still getting his pension. Yep.
So, but you knew, okay, I'm going to be laid off. I'm going to have to look for another job. So, but I like my company. So I'm going to apply for this and just see how it goes. Right.
Yes.
It still was a risk and it took some courage to put yourself out there. And how did the interview process go? Like since you didn't have all of those qualifications.
I went in telling them that.
I love it. Yeah. Talk a little bit about that. Like, what do you remember
Well, once I got into the interview, they needed someone to start like in a week. So that told me that they really were desperate. I was just guessing they were desperate. And so they asked about my bookkeeping experience. Could I use Excel? What apps, now it's apps, back then it was programs. Could I use? Would I be willing to learn as I needed them? And of course, all the answers are yes.
Yes.
And so they started me pretty much at basics, couple weeks of learning what I needed to know. And then after that, I took it on myself to learn more about the programs, because I had no idea at what point they might decide, okay, she's got this, and they want to know what else I know. So I had to try to be a little proactive.
Did you do that on your own time?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. So that's another lesson that I think is really important in today's world. At least some of the experiences that I've had is some of our younger folks, when they get into the workforce, I'm paid for this job, and if you want me to do extra or above and beyond, then I should be paid for it. Like that's kind of their mindset.
Yeah. I took a couple classes in Excel and
on your own.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that says an awful lot about you, but it also then helps you gain credibility and improve your position within the company.
Sure, because it's also called fear.
Oh, talk about fear. What do you mean?
You don't know if you're going to succeed at a job you're not fully qualified for.
Yeah.
All the other buyers around you know what they're doing.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah. How was that going into work every day?
It went great. Yeah. I never had a problem.
Good. Even though there was this little
devil on my shoulder.
Yeah. In the back of your mind going, I really don't know what I'm doing. Today we call that the imposter syndrome, where you're still doing it, even though you feel like one of these days they're going to find out
catch me
that I'm an imposter. Right. Yeah.
Yes, I fit that totally. In fact, the other thing with women in positions in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s is money. My job at Sunstrand, we were paid every 2 weeks. And as I remember, it was 80 something, $80, 83, 84 something, every 2 weeks. And we paid rent out of that. Marge and I split it, and I think the rent was like $80 a month. I mean, it wasn't, the prices were
sure
50-ish. So over time, and this is a lesson somebody told me, I was already into the workplace, or this would have been a very important lesson to have learned, is that when you apply for a job and they offer you a sum, don't take it. Push it another point somehow, because when you accept that, you are at the low end of that salary level, and the rest of your work days at that place, that's where you're going to be. When you get a raise, it's going to be to that next level. So in was it 2000, 1997, 98, somewhere in there, they decided to make me a full-blown buyer. So we interviewed, we talked about it, and we talked about money. Well, they discovered that I was so far down on money that they could not do it all in 1 year. It would take 2 years of splitting it in half to bring me as a female high enough to be a buyer.
So you'd be equal to everyone where everyone else was.
Yep. So between year 1 and year 2, the company was sold to an Israeli company. So the second year never happened.
Oh.
Yeah. But that was the difference in money between men and women. When I first decided to go back to work, the first place I went was to Sunstrand's.
Right.
And I was interviewed like I was a daycare provider more than a potential employee. Who's going to watch your children?
Oh.
This is HR.
Yes.
You have 3 children. What if you have to work overtime? I mean, it all was focused on my family, not my qualifications.
Yes. And thank goodness They better not be asking any of those questions in today's world.
No, but that's how far we've come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is great. Just as we kind of wrap up here, just curious, what do you wish younger women understood sooner about either confidence or courage or imposter syndrome or
I think take chances. If, like I said earlier, if you're not, you don't have to totally love your job. Sometimes that just puts food on the table and gives you entertainment money. But sometimes it's very important to you that you more than hate it. So there is an opportunity that may not be anywhere near what you think your skill level should be. Take a deeper look, talk to somebody about it, and see if you manage the base criteria. And if there's any interest at all, talk it over with those people that are important to you, but make that decision in your heart before you waste that opportunity. If you waste that opportunity, then use that job that you really don't like and count how many qualities you have learned since you've had that job. Because in the future, one of those future jobs is going to use those qualities. So don't give up. Don't give up ever.
I love that, Mom. Thank you. This has been really interesting. You've told stories that I had never heard of. Some of them I did, but I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for being my first guest.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Bye.
We gotta. Thanks so much for hanging out on the top floor. If today's episode gave you something to think about or a little boost, share it with your friends to keep the momentum going. And hey, if you're ready to rise, find your voice, and lead with clarity and confidence, we'd love to connect with you. Reach out at graceandsaltleadership.com to learn how Grace and Salt can support your growth. Remember, you don't have to lead like everyone else. Just lead like you. All right, I'll see you next time on the top floor.